You're listening to the Motor Mouths.
Hey, you get that car out of the studio. The Motor Mouths are here. They're already bringing vehicles into the studio.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Ray.
I know there are faults. We're not ashamed of the faults. The faults can be fixed.
Motor Mouth!
I just turned the radio on. I actually don't even know what you're talking about.
You guys talk about repair problems and give advice.
What kind of a nut job wants to do something like this?
Am I on the air?
Get to the point. Motor Mouth!
You guys really have it slick.
As long as I know Ray, which is quite some time, the only place I've ever seen that car is in the garage.
How ridiculous it would be if your guest can't show up because he broke down.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
I think I'd give you guys a thrill.
I do have to take exception with Chris, though, on something, which is very rare.
Great to hear you guys every week on the radio.
I'm very disappointed that I missed the show on Thursday.
And I actually have a car question for you, but I'm going to save it for the show.
I'm calling about my car.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
I listen to your show regularly and stuff like that.
I started talking about nose here, and I thought I had the wrong channel.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
And it looks old, so of course you open the hood and say, that looks old. Why don't we change it? It's Monday.
There you go.
It's like hanging out with my friends.
Motor Mouth!
I was going to pull their pants off.
I'm a big fan of your show. You know, I've been listening to you guys for a while now.
Oh, damn, I just spilled some oil. Wait a minute. Where's my Motor Mouth Radio T-shirt?
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motor Mouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth!
This is Motor Mouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motor Mouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
Alrighty, guaranteed to make you say wowee. This is Motor Mouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. Sitting right here in the entertainment capital of the world, Garden City, Long Island. And of course, sitting in for Ray Guarino, you know him as the individual that makes this program 521% better. He's the one we call Obi Don Cannoli, the man in the clouds, and the one I affectionately call Uncle Evunge. It's Joe D from Standard Motor Products, happily able to fill the seat but not the shoes of the man behind the shop bench. How are you, my brother?
Good, good. You know, I just said wowee now, too, because you left that stupid spark plug socket pointing up on my chair. Now I got to stand. You're going to get the bill for my tailor. These are nice jeans.
Wow, yeah, that's what that smell is. Burning denim. It worked. How are you, my brother?
Good, good. You know, am I here? I'm not here early, right?
I know.
Or late. I just don't know anymore.
Even when daylight saving time happens, I'm still completely discombobulated as well. Even when you get that extra hour, I mean, I know everybody gets all messed up when you lose that hour in the springtime.
Right.
But when you gain that hour, it almost makes it worse.
Right. I found that the best thing to do with it is wander through the house changing all the clocks at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, whatever. That's what I ended up doing. I said, okay, I'm up. Might as well do this before anybody gets confused.
You are more efficient than I am. I usually change one clock every month, and by the time they're all changed, it's time to change them back again.
Well, that's how you keep track. You already have it down to the number of months. I see. I understand.
And my wife was messing with me because she already changed one or two of them. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. What's that clock? What's that clock? Is that clock over there? Is that right? Is that the right time? Is that not the right time?
Honey, did you open up the wormhole again?
Yeah, exactly. Right. She knows a black hole when she sees one. That's why she married me.
I was going to say she's listening and watching, huh?
Speaking of listening and watching, you can watch us on VaughnLive.tv/MotorMouthRadio. We are on a visual. Believe it or not, you can watch us and see which hand we're holding and which finger we're waving and all that good stuff. Why would you want to watch this? But people do. And you can call us.
They also watch train wrecks, car accidents.
Right, bar mitzvahs. You can call us, 516-572-7440. It is a day to capture and harness the knowledge and foresight that is Joe D from Standard Motor Products. We enjoy when he is here because he makes the show that much better.
I'm a little tired today, so let's just keep it a 3-side, okay?
Right. Yeah, you're a little tired for a reason, I've heard.
Yeah, that... Me and the Z28 spent a little time on the set of the movie they're filming over in the Bayside Whitestone area there, and I learned that whole movie magic thing does not happen out there. Mostly it's hurry up and wait.
Yes.
It's kind of like the military, but with no guns.
Right.
Yeah,
a lot of attitude.
Yeah, some of the women walking by are a little hotter, but basically it's a lot of waiting. And, one night, two nights out of the 3 was freezing. And I like you, not unlike our Professor Ray, I do not like the cold.
Right.
And I'm sitting there with the hat on and the hood up, and like guys I know walking up to me, is that you on the roller? It's like, yes, because you couldn't run the motor that much. If you run the motor, in the wrong time, it messes with the sound and this and that. So I just bought extra clothing. So I was basically tired and cranky and cold. Yes, and But it was very interesting to watch how they do stuff.
Now, it's a period piece we're talking about, so you get to almost like relive your childhood.
Right. Yeah, actually, that would have been my mid-20s, but yeah, I remember all this.
Well, I was a child in my mid-20s. I don't know about you.
I'm talking about physical age, body hair,
true.
Stuff like that.
I think I was 7.
Yeah, you're doing that Common Core math again, aren't you?
Yeah, the guys in Little League, the umpires for the other team would go, "Who's that pitching over there? How old is that kid? He's got mutton chops." I was like 9.
Some people just don't understand the whole, Mediterranean hair thing,
No, they don't. Well, my hair is now senile. It doesn't know where to grow. It
grows.
Right.
But in the place, not where they're normally supposed to put it.
Right.
It's kind of like whack-a-mole,
I have the equivalent amount of hair as like Elvis, only it's all over.
Right.
It's not where it's supposed to be.
And not yet have you said thank you very much.
Well, I got lip.
But yeah, it's a period piece. It's out of the late 80s. Mm-hmm. It's got to do with what used to go on up in the Whitestone Bayside area back then.
Which was the same goofy stuff that used to go on in Brooklyn and Bensonhurst, where I was from.
Right, right.
So the people that are coming to see you were the people that saw me that I grew up with that went over there and said, "Hey, you over there? We did something over here."
Yeah, and we didn't have cell phones. We were just yelling.
Who needed a cell phone? Did you ever need a cell phone in your neighborhood? If you thought about it, if you introduced a cell phone into your youth, would you ever use it?
No, because we had other ways of doing things.
Everybody yelled at each other.
You yelled, or it's like, "Hey, you going up the boulevard? Is Tommy up there? Yeah, listen, Tom, I got to call to him. Get him down here. All right?"
My cell phone was the front window next to the front door of the house. You roll it up and go, "What do you want? Get out of here."
Exactly. There was plenty of ways of communicating. I mean, we were a couple of steps above, the beating of the drums and listening. But
smoke signals.
Yeah, right. Well, we had smoke signals, but mostly they were made out of rubber. Oh, yeah, 3 tire trips means you come see me down here.
Or other contraband.
Contraband.
Yes. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm glad to see you're part of this artistic.
Yeah, I was a little starstruck there, but it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. They asked us not to mention too much, put out pictures on Facebook and so on and so forth.
We understand that.
But it looks like when it comes out, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I find out, though, that sometimes they're not always historically correct.
True.
Well, which is going to be hard, too, because a lot of the scenery has changed. Different buildings have come and gone, so on and so forth. But I figure if, like, Mel Gibson could do The Patriot and what's the other one with the horse and the plaid and the skirt, and, it's like, yeah, well, it kind of looks right. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, you see the zipper on the back of some of the costumes.
Right. Or, at least, or the 2000 and whatever car parked, they didn't get off the set or whatever.
You see the jet plane flying over.
Right. So, I mean, it can never be perfect, but I'll tell you, they are working really hard as far as getting things right as what appears on screen.
That's what I do love about even bad movies. You can always look at the cinematography. You always look at the lighting. You always look at all that stuff. I know I've become an individual that watches a movie almost watching the mechanicals of the movie instead of the plot and the acting. And I find that even though, let's say, the movie is good or bad, it doesn't really matter because all of that stuff is always dead on.
Right. They do a lot. There's a lot of research that gets done on this stuff. Yeah.
And those are the true unsung heroes as far as Hollywood is concerned. Are those people that are behind the scenes and the gaffers and the bests and all of those people. They really work their buns off.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I've had the occasion to talk to a couple of them here and there. As a matter of fact, that whole thing with the radios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So we'll be indirectly involved with that too.
Very cool. So speaking of indirectly involved, let's go to the phones. Let's go to the fun and say hi, you're on with the Motormouths. And say hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Hi, guess who? Obi home.
What's up, Doobie? It's the Bronc. How are you?
I gotta set my watch because it's that time.
It is that time.
Hey, Bronc.
How are you? Joe D is
Joe,
in for Ray. Ray is getting his ears lowered.
Right? Is that what it is?
Yes, he's taking both of them and putting them on either side of his head. They were both on one side of his face at one time. He's having them surgically altered.
Well, next week he's going to a proctologist for a brain transplant, so I guess it's a win-win. So anyway, I heard Joe talking about doing the movies. And if anybody has old cars, and this is something we did out here, we got involved with the same thing, registered the classic cars,
right.
And they do a lot of different video shoots here. So we got accepted into one of the shows, I guess about 3-4 years ago, Love Ranch. About
it's not about cars, Bronc. There's no cars in the Love Ranch.
There's tools involved in
There's
cars,
tools,
but
yes.
no cars. No.
Battery powered, but no cars.
All background kind of stuff where they wanted the cars in the background scenes. And like Joe said, you're there all day, all right? And what it makes it appear to be is not actuality what actually happened. You know, they have to embellish it.
Sure.
But it's a fun thing to register with these different companies. And what happened was interesting. We brought the cars now to register them, bring pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you went down there to casting your office,
right,
they decided, well, would you guys like to be extras? Right? So they say, hey, that was pretty cool. So Jan and I, we got signed up as extras, and we went down to the set. They called us, and they put us in costumes, like you said. And it was the 80s, with the polyester, the bell-bottoms, all that happy crap.
You just
went in the closet.
You brought your stuff with you.
I did. I wore the outfit. They said, oh, no, it's too authentic. Why change a good thing?
Yeah, and that and the eternal question, do you own a washing machine?
But in the river, I'm out here in the desert now.
Right, what river?
So if you get the opportunity, it is a lot of fun. So we got on as extras. They didn't accept the cars because they were looking for more 50s cars, and we had 60s cars at the point.
Right.
And you just go register and do it. And it's just a great day to hang out. You meet all kinds of interesting people, and you have a good time.
And they feed you.
Part of that.
Yeah, it's true. Right. That's awesome. That's very
good.
The
food is really good. I got to say that, yeah.
Right.
They feed the crew really well.
Right? Every time you turn around, there's another platter, another caterer, more stuff coming in.
They set up a whole catering thing, and they're good like that.
And
definitely.
They're the fastest eaters on the planet. They'll burn right through a porcelain plate. They eat so fast. The forks just melt.
They eat the forks in the plates too.
Never saw a bunch of people eat so fast, but they do. They get it done and get it done. But that's awesome, Bronc. I didn't realize that you touched on some movie stuff.
All inclusive, a little TV, a little radio, a little movies. Have fun,
Very little radio.
Very little radio on this station. Okay.
Very little.
Even the ants run away from the TV, right? We're having fun.
I don't know. I don't know. I just turn up the color balance, and all of a sudden they start frying. You don't even need the magnifying glass no more.
Yes.
Yep. Well, today I got Signer out here. Believe it or not, Signer's out visiting.
Wow. Right. You're
so
kidding me.
Don't know, was my former producer when we did TV way back.
And our former producer here at Motormouth Radio, yes.
Yeah, and now she's working for NBC Radio, NBC News.
Very cool.
With that, and then today I'm going to crawl my little butt under the lift. I'm working on the Mustang. I got to put rear main seal in it.
Okay.
So I got the pan down. And, one thing out here, what they don't do because they're too freaking cheap, is that because of the dryness, something will rubber. If you get a West Coast car, you buy it. Everything is so dry, no humidity.
Right.
All the rubber seals tend to dry out.
Okay.
When you talk to different people, I put an OEM seal in. And I tell them, put silicone in so you don't have to replace it again. Now, the rubber seal is about $8? A silicone seal is about $35.
Okay.
They won't spring for the extra couple of bucks to do the job right.
Well, if you're paying for it, aren't you paying the bill for this or no?
Well, it's my car, yeah. But I'm just saying, if somebody's sending it out, I'm not doing the work.
Got it. In general, I see.
Right?
I see. Yes. Okay. Right. If
Pay
someone else is doing it. Yes.
$50, and you don't have to do it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure
right,
does.
Especially if the technology with the chemicals is so much superior these days. It's crazy not to.
Well, it makes sense to the...
Unless you're going to get judged on it.
True. Unless you get a judge that's under there. It makes sense to the consumer, but maybe it doesn't make too much sense for the mechanic or the technician that will get the money for the job the second time. when the
Well,
part
that's
fails.
it. You know, fix it right the first time or fix it right the second time. It's your choice.
Right.
You know, we'll pay me now, we'll pay me later, but you're going to pay me.
No, it's true. But
Right?
I'm
So
just thinking, if you're just a regular consumer and you bring your car in for a rear
main seal
because it dried out,
baby buggy bumper.
He's just going to replace it with another rubber component.
The little, OEM, keep banging in there.
Right, and then you'll be back 4 years later.
Same thing, like when I pulled this pan down, now this motor was rebuilt about 5 years ago. They still use the old-fashioned cork gasket.
Nice.
Right?
And they use gasket shellac, all that old Indian head stuff, right?
Yeah. It had its purpose in the time.
Uh-huh.
What I put in now is I use a one-piece silicone gasket for the pan.
Yeah, I believe it.
And you don't have to use, 4 different pieces and Permatex and glue the corners and hope it goes together and you don't crack. Not necessary. So the best advice I could give, if somebody's going out and having service done, do your research first. Even if you're not an automotive guy, find out what's available. Spend a few extra bucks for the parts. And this way you don't have to do the job again a couple of years down the road.
Very true. You're absolutely right. And wear your galoshes when it rains.
Right. And from the sound of it, you've been around a lot of silicone lately. So, yeah, it should be reasonably priced. Like, now you're making me reasonably priced.
Right. So your silicone gasket is costing me, my cost, about $31.
Right.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Cork gasket runs about $15.
Sure.
And one thing, not to badmouth a company, and I got really bad luck with Felpro. Used to swear by Felpro.
Right.
I had a bunch of problems with their rubber parts, their rubber seals, rubber gaskets.
Mm-hmm.
They always made in America, but if you look on a box now, in very fine print, it says made from foreign materials.
Ooh.
Right? And I had the same problem, especially on Chevy intakes.
Mm-hmm.
The rear gasket, the rear seal on the back of the intake, they all split 3 in a row, all split in the same exact spot when you torque the intake down.
Wow.
Using Velcro.
That's
so I won't buy a Velcro product anymore.
Huh.
Just,
well, what do you buy then? What do you recommend?
I use Mr. Gasket.
Okay.
I find they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had any problems with them. And now I stick exclusively, if it's available, with silicone gaskets.
Very cool.
And I find it's better. So,
alrighty, my brother. Well, thank you so much. Yes, we appreciate it.
There.
Yes. Right. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay. Hold on 1 sec. So I don't want to say fast hi, and then I'm going. Have a good week, guys.
Thanks. You too, Bronx.
Hello, Motormouth from Reno, Nevada.
Hello, Miss Sina. How are you, my darling?
Good. How are you? He finally got me out here.
You out there for good or what?
Oh, no. Hell no. The people here are kind of weird.
So you end up on the phone with a radio show back in Long Island.
Talking to a couple of guys in a basement.
Yeah,
right.
No, talk about the crypt keepers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your stay with the Bronx, and let us know when you get back.
I'm coming back on the first flight Tuesday, I think, or Monday. I'll forget what day I'm leaving here.
Oh, sounds good. Okay.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. We'll talk to you soon.
Good talking to you.
Bye-bye. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. Joe D is with us in for Ray Guarino. He's having the antennas lowered on the top of his head. All that good stuff that's happening to him. When we last left him, he was running out on the Long Island Expressway going, I'm God! I'm God! I'm free! So they're out to get him. But Joe's in for Ray.
That's made out of silicone.
We got a lot more of this nuts coming your way right here at Motormouth Radio. So keep it right here. That's right, you lucky dog.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
WHPC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local and global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here is how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHPC and click Donate Now. Or if you prefer, you can send a check to WHPC Radio, 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530. Make check payable to the NCC Foundation. In the memo of your check, write WHPC Donate Now. Any contributions will help defray our operating costs, and it's tax deductible. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College. streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Let the Motor Mouths help you with all of your car questions at 516-572-7440.
We're back, we're bad, and we're going to the phones. Let's see who's on the line. Say hi, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Joey D. How you guys doing?
Joe, you ready? 3, 2, 1. It's the Big Man! What's up, cutie patootie? What are you doing?
Well, I'm telling you, it seems a major theme here of the program is silicone.
Right? Right. Better living through chemistry, but not the way I figured.
You know, and the Bronc is totally correct. It is worth to spend. It is worth to take research, do a little homework, and get the best parts that you can afford. And if you can only afford the rubber products, then you realize that in a couple of years, 10 years later, you might have to change them.
I love when Howie gets authoritative.
Yeah, he speaks from the wisdom of the ages there.
That's right, from the bowels.
But he's right, but he forgets one thing. In 10 years or so, my kid will be old enough to do this for me, so I really don't care.
Right. And
you're listening, Mike.
When you go on the movie set, when you have your classic cars for the movies, for the TV,
yes.
You spend the whole day there. They do feed you great.
Right.
You're there the whole day.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So
and the guys, from what I heard in the Caddy Club and in the Buick Club, they make between $500 and $1,000 depending upon what the car does.
Right. If they use the car, if they don't use the car,
right.
if they use the individual that owns the car, like Bronx said, as an extra.
What caliber you have in the glove compartment?
Right. And
it's always an
usually
incentive.
the car, most of the time, the car is in one place the whole day, doesn't move, and they're using it as a background. But if they're using it within a scene and they're asking the major actors or to drive the car, then it's a different story.
Right. Right, then the number goes up considerably. I understand.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, very true.
But it is exciting when you see your car on the screen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Was your car in anything? I don't remember. You mentioned it. Was your car ever in any of that stuff?
No, it wasn't, but it got close.
Okay.
I thought about it with the Pontiac years ago.
Right.
But it got close, but I didn't get to that point. Usually what happens, you needed to babysit your car for the whole day.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that you know, you were kind of locked up in there. Once you have the car there, you can't get out.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah,
no.
And you sign a whole bunch of contracts stating that.
Oh, yeah, and if anything happens to your car, they will repair it. There's insurance for the set.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've heard from one friend in the Caddy Club, it does take time to do that.
Yes.
So.
Takes a while.
Hopefully we never get to that point.
All righty, Bubba Level, thank you so much for the call.
All right. Well, hey, have a nice day.
Hey.
Happy motoring, and nice to talk to you guys.
Always a pleasure, Rodney. Hey. We'll talk to you.
Howie's good to talk to you, man.
Be safe, my brother. Bye-bye.
Take care.
516-572-7440. He gets no respect.
I'm not touching that. Where's my 10-foot pole? Because, no.
There was a time back in Brooklyn, back in the old country, I do remember, what was the movie? It was with Russell Crowe, Denzel Washington. They were cops. One was a cop, one was a drug dealer, I think. I can't remember the name of the movie. It was back a couple of years ago.
Oh, cop and a drug dealer in Brooklyn. Oh, that
was
down to about 500.
Yeah, what a surprise, right? A real stretch of a movie plot. But I do remember driving home. From the city. And I turned onto one of the blocks, and on both sides of the blocks were cars that were no newer than 1976.
Wow.
The whole 3-block stretch. And I'm driving along going, what in the world? What is going on? I couldn't get over it. Because, mind you, I had a beer.
Okay.
One.
Right.
And little driving along, and I'm like, what is going on? So what the funny thing was that there was a PA, one of those individuals that's at the bottom of the totem pole in this employment with the silk jacket that was standing there watching all the cars, and I pulled up to him, and I held up my Motor Mouth Radio business card,
right.
And I said, Motormouth Radio, son, I smell a story. What is it? And he told me that it was a movie that they were shooting there, and I can't remember the movie offhand off the top of my head. I would summon the powers of Joe D, but he's here with me. So let's go to the phones, and let's go to the fun, and hopefully we'll get some answers answered. And say hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Good morning, Chris and Joey.
Hey, Mr. Master Yang.
Oh, mighty Yang. What's up, sir?
I couldn't help but hear the Silicone comments, okay?
Of course not. You probably didn't miss the thing about me sitting on the spark plug. Anyway.
The phrase caught my eye in the homepage there. Fabulously articulate questions. Oh, boy.
Yeah, way too many syllables.
Yes, exactly. That was a mouthful and a half. I would like to interject pertaining to silicone. Silicone has its place, and it has to have a purpose that the rubber can't meet, or cork, or the new neopreneized cork can't meet.
That's why we know many different purposes, but none of them we don't think are auto-related, but okay.
No, that's true. You see, this is not a 900 number call. So what I wanted to mention is
you mean you're not going to pay us $10 a minute to talk to us?
When the manufacturers see that there's a need for a silicone gasket, quite often they put a metal stop into the bolt hole, because when everybody gets their Sears wrench set for Christmas, they get a half-inch drive with a quarter-inch adapter, so you can get down on that 7/16 valve cover bolt with your half-inch ratchet, you see.
Yes.
So
or the air gun for those of us more
Or the air gun if you have such a convenience available, yes.
Oh, yes.
And what will happen once you lean on that thing?
Yeah, baby. That silicone comes out. The valve cover and the cylinder head are just like a knife, just like the old paper cutter in the classroom, that guillotine effect there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Torquage is important, absolutely.
Torquage, yes. So when you use a silicone gasket, you have to understand fully its capability and its limitations, you know.
Yes, now, that makes a lot of sense. Whereupon, I'm assuming the rubber or the cork are more forgiving in those.
A lot of places, yeah. You know, if you see some of the Fel-Pro transmission rubber gaskets, they've incorporated a fiber into the rubber.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives a much better longevity and a better resistance to overzealous talking, etc., etc. You know.
How about, Rich, how about the cork gasket that has a metal washer?
Yeah, that's what I say. They build a stop into them as
That's
well.
The stop. Yes. That's the stop.
The manufacturer tries to imagine where it's going and who's doing it, you know.
Got it.
That's a part of my day at work, too.
So, yeah, you have to, if you don't understand why it's designed, I've actually seen people popping them out because they thought it held the circle, the hole, you know. So...
You can make little cookies with them.
Yeah, there's been times when I have to get involved, even though I really shouldn't have to get involved. But so yeah, so I mean, everything has its mission, you know, and its design.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, like on the race cars, we use the that Permatex wonderful stuff called the Right Stuff.
Yes.
Okay, and that stuff has a urethane base to it. That'd be great if you could ever get an organization like Permatex to come to the show, you know, because I mean, the advances in gasket material and the gasket maker material, there's several anaerobic sealants out there that people are unaware of their capability and their serviceability, as well as the ultras. You know, the ultra gray was originally formulated for import cars and did have a higher resistance to moving and breaking a seal than the American silicones, you know.
How come? Why was that, Rich?
It just has, imports had their own specification.
Right.
You know,
their own characteristics.
When you see it on there, it specifies that it's for their vehicles, as well as I noticed also Detroit Diesel. When I was with New York City Transit, I saw what they would use, and that was also specified, the gray for the diesels.
They used roofing tar, right? Mostly.
It's roofing.
With a brush.
Roof. No, that's another whole story.
But Rich has a point. You have to use the right stuff in the right place these days. You can't have like one bottle of glop that's going to do everything.
Right.
All right, because of the different materials, the different amount of torque, the different characteristics of where you're going to stick it, what's going to be exposed to. You can't just have one tube or two tubes of stuff anymore. Like, a properly equipped shop, all right, goes, besides all the fluids, let's not even go there yet, fluids, oils, that kind of stuff, even stuff like gasket sealer, all right, or like what you're supposed to use. You're not supposed to glop it up. Maybe you're supposed to tack it, something like that. You need to do your homework. You have to actually like read the manual or go through certain things. You can't just wing it no more.
Yeah. What's interesting, Ray, Joe, you're probably aware of this, but because I talk all the time, speaking of torque. But there's a young fella that works in my shop where I hang out there every day. And this young fellow in his, I want to say, mid to late 30s, asked for Indian head shellac one day.
Ouch.
And he wanted it on the bolts. And if you ever want to scratch your head, if you look into the old Motors repair manual and Mitchell's and everything, and the footnotes in the torque charts there, it will indicate on certain bolts their torque value with 30 weight oil.
Right.
Their torque value with this. If you use ARP bolts, the ARP bolts come with their own sealer, which is, of course, of a new wave mixture, probably with molybdenum disulfate in or a character like that.
And you're using the emollient. You're using the oil on the threads when you
on the threads when you
torque it.
Applied, yeah. And each one has a specified lubricant because it can affect the torque values up to 20-30%, which ARP indicates in their information charts. So when a guy asked for the Indian head, it was found that mostly duplicated the factory lubricants that they used on there, but gave you a thread seal that stays pliable for quite a while,
Indian head stays pliable?
It does. When it's sealed within,
really,
it takes a long time for it to cook into a solidified
right,
mixture.
but it's not exposed to the atmosphere, and it's under a different set of conditions in a different environment, which is absolutely right.
GM used to use a weather strip like adhesive on their bolts back in the late 60s on all the 427 and 454 high perf out of the factory, which very few people would put back in there when they took the wire wheel and cleaned the bolts,
Right. That would make a lot of sense why they wouldn't put it back. Who would know?
So, again, when you read all the books in the factory manuals, it doesn't always specify what they used in a production environment and what they recommend as a replacement environment. So,
well, Rich, we'll be looking for that book that you're going to eventually write about this information, right?
Yeah. Things I'd like to forget, that book.
Either that or people are going to have to listen to old episodes, old radio shows of Motormouth Radio just to wait for you to come on the phone.
Oh, God. All right. We've gone way too far today.
Well, you talk about 521%, Chris. There's 1,042.
Right here.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Yes, it's Joe D times 2. Richie Yang.
Let's not pontificate too much. So, on that note, I'm signing off. You guys have a great afternoon.
Thanks,
too,
Rich. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, sir.
Bye-bye. Your one-stop bottle of glop right here, Motormouth Radio. Joe D is in for Ray, sitting behind the shop bench.
Standing
behind the shop.
Okay, another short joke. Great.
He's not warming up the seat, and he's not warming up the shoes, but you can see him online on vaughnlive.tv/Motormouth Radio, as well as listen to this fine program on motormouthradio.com. You can also hear us on iHeartRadio and Performance Motorsports Network. I keep asking Bob Steele over at PMN why, and he keeps going, just do it. So we do it. We keep sending him shows, he keeps taking them. So you can hear this program on those places as well. Lots of other. We got a blog. We got a rotten blog, a podcast, a whole bunch of stuff. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more coming your way.
We'll be back with answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said the Motor Mouth thing.
Whether you're a hot rod or a Camaro chick, the Motor Mouths will always do the trick. Motor Mouth Radio, baby.
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hi, this is Ray Bertolino, the news director here at WHPC Radio, the voice of Nassau Community College. If you're a Nassau Community College student who's interested in a career in news broadcasting, if you think you might have what it takes to report and produce top-notch newscasts covering local, national, and international news, and business and entertainment and sports news, then give me a call, Ray Bertolino, at 516-572-7439. That's 516-572-7439 at WHPC Radio, the voice of Nassau Community College. I look forward to hearing from you.
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, pussycat?
Got a car question? Give the Motor Mouths a call at 516-572-7440.
Oh, yes. This is it, Motor Mouth Radio. Your number one automotive talk show on Long Island, and from what I've heard, the number one talk show anywhere in the New York area. There's another one, but this is what I like to do when I listen to that one.
At least nobody's called us number 2.
Except us. Joe D's
well, we
in
can
for
say
Ray.
that. It's family. It's the right thing.
Right. Joe's in for Ray, so let's take advantage of the noodle. What's going on between his ears? He's got that thing that's pulsing with automotive knowledge and technology.
No, that's just a zit. I'll just tell you. If I turn this way, you won't see it, okay?
You going through puberty again?
No, but there's just oil in all the wrong places. What can I say?
All that polyester all around
right,
you.
Right.
That's what it is.
It was kind of funny seeing those styles again because I just saw these kids walking past us, and I turned around and said to this other guy, "That was us."
Yeah, it sure was.
Yikes!
Yep, sure was. I was there too.
Yeah,
I was there too. Just to relive cruising 86th Street. I mean, I never cruised Franny Lou, I'm afraid to say. I knew of guys that did come down to us from
sure.
Queens.
Well, we all made visits to the different
yeah, I never went up there. And I should have. But I always stayed on 86th Street. That was like my home turf.
Well, some of it's correlated. Some of it's your social network as well. You know what I mean. So if you wanted to go see your friends, you know where to find them. You know.
But to me, and tell me if Franny Lou was the same way. The Francis Lewis Boulevard was the same way as it was on 86th Street. It was like a discotheque. It was, and when I say discotheque, I mean all you heard was the music, and it was like a club that you can just drive through.
Yeah, you had guys playing music. Other guy, it depended on which clique you were in because depending on where you sat, and we're talking a matter of a block or two. You would have one bunch that hung out at the supermarket. It might have been a little bit more motorheads, and then you had another bunch that were more like the caddy disco type boys there.
Right,
and then there were different groups, and you could actually hear the music change as you drove from one place to the other.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you could do that.
Not by us. It was always a dance.
It's Brooklyn. I know. You have to be. The lights, you used to have to wait for the light to change, go out the little flash thing, and then come back in. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And then those of us who are more electrically talented would actually get the traffic lights to do stuff.
What? You would get the traffic light to do stuff?
Do stuff,
Wow. That's pretty electrically advanced, if you ask me.
That poor guy just ended up like with this really weird hairdo, and
he twitched.
Yeah. I think that was right about. He was like one of the beta testers with the pens. So it didn't work out well. No.
516-572-7440 is the phone number to get a hold of us right here. Talking about cars and movies.
Yeah.
And I was offered a movie part for my Corvette. A buddy of mine had reached out to me and said that he connected me with a producer that was looking for a Corvette. And at the time, he was looking for a C3. And I said, no, I don't have a C3, I have a C4. So basically he went, all right, fine.
Are you sure they just didn't want to use C4?
Well, this... In
association, yes, exactly.
You know what? And that's the funny thing. It's funny.
Okay, Ray, I got the Corvette joke in. We're done, all right?
That's the funny thing you mentioned that, because he came back to me again about a month later and said, okay, we rewrote the script because you have a C4 we could use. And I said, yeah, you could use my car. It's not a problem. And I was waiting for that statement. Like Howie had said, I can't believe I'm paraphrasing Howie, but as Howie had said, that in order to, you got paid in accordance to what they were using the car for. If they were driving the car or using the car in the movie as the car is moving, it's obviously more money than if the car was sitting. And you as well. If they put you in the movie, the price goes up considerably. So what I was hoping they would do, now we never discussed any of that, but what I was hoping for was that he would say, and we're going to blow it up at the end of the movie. I would have said, sure.
Right.
Go ahead. How much?
Just say, yeah, exactly. Just send me a picture of it so that way, I know.
Right. Let it burn.
That poor vet, it wasn't that bad.
No,
Come on.
It wasn't. It wasn't that bad. I'll tell you the God's honest truth, Joe, it never let me down.
Right.
It never let me down.
Let's face it, the bar was rather low, though.
It was. But
I mean, pretty much that was just an awning for Sir Bentley. The spider there?
The Triumph is the
okay.
Is the roof of Lord Bentley, the spider that lives under it.
Right. I don't know if he wanted to go outside or on a vacation to another spot, he would go under the vet, right?
Right. Meet the cuisine spiders under there. Hey, look at this guy. Look at the eyes on this guy. Hey, you funny.
Yeah. Number 7's kind of pointed the wrong way, right?
See me coming and going. Hey, look at you. No, it's true. It was that type of car that I would have loved to have loaned it out to movies, because it really didn't matter. It didn't have that provenance, that significance that vet owners would appreciate. It was a well-used car. That was
right.
all it was.
It didn't have the original air in the tires or nothing.
No, definitely not.
Right.
But just talking about the Triumph real fast, I do have to bring something up. I have to shift gears for a minute. I was under the vet this week, under the Triumph this weekend, removing the bracket that we were talking about a couple of months ago. Yeah. I had an issue with the Triumph where I had welded a reinforcing bracket under the car while the car was in the air.
Oh, the redneck chassis machine, right, yes.
So when the car was in the air, the door, because the chassis flexed, the door was open wider at the top of the door than at the bottom of the driver's door, right? So when I welded that piece on there, put the car down, the door stayed the way it was. It didn't flex back down to where it should have lined up.
It's like, you know, like when your mother used to tell you when you stop making that face, it's going to stick that way. Well, your car did the same thing.
That's what it did. It stuck that way. Let's go to the phones and see what else could stick that way and say, hi, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Good afternoon, Motor Mouth. It's Tom from Massapequa. How are you?
What's up, Tom? How you been?
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing very good. Sorry it's been so long, but I do listen.
You do? You still listen? You haven't run away from us yet, huh?
Correct. How could I? It's like a magnet.
Right. It's like watching a car wreck.
Hey, guys, I got a question.
Yes.
One of my sons is into customization of cars, and he's exploring wrapping on vehicles. I was wondering if you have an opinion on it, as far as, what do you know about wrapping? And is it just for customization, or might it replace painting?
Wow.
I don't know anybody who's actually had a vehicle wrapped, but the technology with that stuff is not very new anymore. I mean, they wrapped buses for years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't want to do it on a pristine paint job. Like I wouldn't want to do it on my 2016 whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Why is that, Joe? Why wouldn't you want to? Does it have chemicals on it?
We were talking about see what sticks.
Got it.
You know what I mean? So as far as that goes, the chemical process, as far as shrinking it and whatever, what it's going to do to the paint underneath it, whether there is some type, and I honestly don't know if there's some type of sealing technology to preclude that, with the, because a lot of wrapping has to do with advertising. Mm-hmm. Although now they're doing it for other stuff, right? What kind of application there were you thinking of? Was you thinking of doing there, Tom?
He's just exploring it for to do with other to do for other people or to do for himself. It's not one specific application.
Right.
And he's exploring, learning about it, and doing it. Going forward. And I wanted to ask some you guys are from a different genre as I am.
That's
and
the kindest
for me,
way I've heard it put.
just for customization and or advertising, is it going to be in the long-term play of things? What do we know about it? And also to expose you guys to it too, because, you may not have the younger guys calling in, the real young.
Right, yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's not something that I've really run into a lot. Although I would say the technology behind it, that they've done. I've read about some different things that they do with it. It's not going anyplace. It's going to be around.
Will it replace actual paint? I would say no.
Yeah. Say that again.
I would say no, that it would actually replace conventional paint jobs. No, but I think is like what Joe says, for advertising purposes or anything graphically along those lines, I think it's here to stay.
Like I seen one guy do it to simulate carbon fiber on his hood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seen that.
That's one thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah, because paint. Remember, paint also is part of the car as far as like corrosion prevention. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In other words, there's a lot of stuff that goes into paint, which besides making it go, oh, that's a pretty color. You know what I mean? So I don't think the wrapping, at least as to my knowledge, could actually accomplish that yet. So you're still going to have paint, but I could see where people would do wrapping for different things. Sure. I think, as a matter of fact, as this old guy says, that's BS. Move on. Maybe we'll want it on our wheelchairs.
What I do like about wrapping is the fact that you can put it over glass and still see through the glass from the inside out. But from the outside in, it has the graphic on it. I kind of dig that. I think that's where it shines a step above paint or conventional paint when you're doing a graphic application. But I think it's just going to be stuck with. It's just going to live in the customizing world, Tom. I don't really think it's going to move into any sort of mainstream at all. The old guys aren't going to be touching it, I don't think, anytime soon. If that's the case.
The other thing that he discusses now is this dipped paint, the dipped paint. Are you familiar with that?
That I have not worked with, no.
Tell us about it. What does he do with it?
I think it's called dip or dip it, and I apologize, I'm questioning how to say it now.
Right.
But it's where you spray on almost like a rubber coating, like you would spray on a handle of a tool.
Mm. Oh, yeah, okay. And
it's called dipped, maybe.
And it creates a plastic insulation or insulator. When you dip you're dipping like the handle of a pair of pliers into it and you pull the pliers out, and it dries into this perfect kind of what would you say, a soft handle.
Like a skin.
Yeah, like a skin,
So
exactly.
they're doing that, apparently they've worked with it or developed it where they have it where you could spray it on cars and you could do a whole car and then you could peel the color off when you want to change the color. So apparently it's not super expensive to do a car, and I guess you could, for a short term, change the car color. And anyway, coat your car in that rubber type effect.
I think Earl Scheib would be very proud of this.
Yeah, $29.95. You know what? What they can do with chemistry now is so light years ahead of what we grew up with that it doesn't surprise me one bit. I don't know, but you'd have to have a certain clientele. You want, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of out of that age bracket, so I ain't the guy to ask about that.
Yeah. I personally don't see it, but then again, I want to spend my money differently than these guys.
No, that's true.
And some of the guys now may be into the customization of it or the the physical looks, as opposed to where us or you guys more than even me were into the performance or the power or whatever.
It's funny, Tom, because when you said customizing, I'm thinking, ways of using lead and Bondo, and you took it in a totally different. I guess we are older than we appear, but
right.
You went and took it to a totally different place. That's pretty interesting. Now we have to open up our books and do some research on it, and hope to God the next time we talk to you, we'll have a question that we can. You'll have a question we can answer.
Right, yeah, because we're not dips.
Yeah,
well, we've been called dips.
Yes, right. we've had been dips in the past.
And too many times I've like, I'll be dipped if that's the truth. And I'm like, sure enough. Then out comes the power washer.
Hey, gentlemen, are they doing any of this vinyl over at the AutoZeum? And is the AutoZeum, second question, is the AutoZeum more active than it had been? Because it seemed a little dull there for a bit.
The AutoZeum was going through a transformation, but yes, it is going to be more active in the, what would you say, the learning, customizing, learning of customizing cars, and all the welding procedures and all of the tricks of the trade. That is going to happen. But yeah, it was going through a little gestation period, but it should be mostly completed, and it will be back on track. I think starting, if it hasn't started already.
Oh, really? It started. That I haven't looked on the site recently. So, are there more things going on with it now? Because I also try to push my son towards that.
Please do. Please, give them a call. Talk with Mike Manning or Andy Perillo down there. They are more than welcome to answer any of the questions you may have about it. I mean, we are the quasi spokesman, but we really don't know the nuts and the bolts that they know because it keeps changing constantly. So I do suggest give them a shout, Tom.
And come to think of it, they haven't thrown any food under the stairs for us lately.
No, they really haven't.
They're supposed to come by, a little food, a little water once in a while, tell us something, and then shut the door again until next week. But they haven't done that for a while.
And believe me, mention our names, and if they don't throw you out or stop laughing, believe me, I'm sure they'll give you all the answers that you would possibly want.
There's many years of knowledge, and there's a lot of stuff that those guys, you're not going to find any place else. Especially, it's not like you can walk into any body shop these days.
Very true.
What I mean?
Very true.
Between the older guys retiring and the technology that you need to fix a newer car versus what you would do with some of the older stuff. I mean, it's not widely spread around. You used to be able to walk into any shop and get be able to pick up stuff. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. Now you're pretty much headed in that one direction.
Yeah, and it looks like that's the direction you'll be heading into. And I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, if you mentioned wrapping, they would probably come up with a category about it and find someone to teach it and probably find a professional to display it and show it off and show how it works. So, by all means, they're probably the next phone call to make on this subject.
Yeah, you know what? I probably will. And it's funny. He probably wouldn't remember me, but real quick story.
Yeah.
Years ago, I was at an office for a medical procedure, and there was another wife. My wife was there, and another wife was there, and another guy was there. Mm-hmm. And it was Andy, and it was before the AutoZeum, and I said, "What do you do?" And he said he worked for, who's the guy?
George Barris.
Say again?
George Barris.
Yes, and he ran his shop. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and this was like 15 years ago, and I went home and told my kids about it. It was just funny. Yeah, cool. It's like a small world,
Sure
that was a relief because the way it sounded, it was like Andy was going to perform the medical procedure.
Well, no, thank God he wasn't.
Good.
Yeah, that torch hurts.
You'll still be walking funny.
And I will tell you this, it was not a vasectomy. That's not what we were there for. Hey, guys, nice talking to you. And, hey, one thing, I am looking to get back on your opening bit, but I haven't done anything to call in, but I'm going to try.
Not a problem. We're always welcome to hear from you. You know that.
The more the merrier.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Tom. You too. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. 516-572-7440. There's the phone number to get a hold of us. Right here at Motormouth Radio. Joe D is in for Ray. And I don't know if I said it earlier today, but the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Those drivers that lock themselves out of a car. You're one of those individuals that bent the door back to get your hand in there. You're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour.
If you still have all your fingers.
So please keep it where you got it. Got a lot more of this Motormouth Radio mess coming your way.
Have a question about your car or someone else's car? Then give the Motormouths a call. 516-572-7440.
Whether you're a hot rod or a Camaro chick, the Motormouths will always do the trick. Motormouth Radio, baby.
Tune in to Thunder Road for
the heart-stopping, pants-dropping, hard-rocking, earth-shocking, booty-shaking, love-making, Viagra-taking, mystery-making, legendary.
Join me, Kim Tracy, for the music of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on Thunder Road, Thursdays at 11 p.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. on 90.3 WHPC, and streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Excuse me.
Motormouth Radio.
Okay, welcome back to Motormouth Radio. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. Joe D sitting behind the shop bench for Ray, and
I'm not sitting, darn it.
He's keeping the chair warm in other ways.
Yeah.
So what do you?
Where's the extinguisher at? You know, we were talking about things that us old guys don't know about anymore versus what the youngins are now.
Yes.
Lamborghini actually has proclaimed, at least as far as their vehicles go, has proclaimed the manual transmission dead.
How can they do that?
No more stick Lambos.
No. So what are they using? Is it an automatic now?
Well, these days, yeah, they use the multiple clutch transmissions, electronically shifted, that paddle shifter stuff, which is pretty cool. Basically, what it comes down to is that the amount of horsepower is such that you can't operate a clutch between your human reaction time and the reaction time of the engineer at Lamborghini referred to it as a filter, but you would actually start blowing stuff up with the amount with the response time and the amount of power passing through a modern Lambo. And actually, this is pretty much the same with a lot of performance cars in general. It just doesn't make no sense no more.
How can they possibly? What do they tell potential customers? You got no more stick.
That's it. You're not using your thumbs now.
You use your thumbs, or you're not using.
Yeah, I mean,
stick no more.
The practical side is that this particular engineer was like, I've been working for Lamborghini for years. I started at the time of the Diablo, which had a clutch without a servo. You needed 40 kilograms, which is about 80 pounds of force to disengage the clutch. Yikes! Which led to some very interesting footwear choices.
I'm sure.
And at the time, we were making 450 newton meters of torque, which I suck at math, but that's a whole buttload. Okay. And then it's a problem managing the closing point of the clutch. If you have any kind of hesitation, read human reaction time, you're going to burn the clutch up immediately.
Wow.
So pretty much we've become obsolete.
The clutch has become
obsolete when it comes to certain things. And it's funny. One of my customers at the shop, I took care of her car for many years. It was a RAV4 with a stick. Mm-hmm. And she comes rolling in with a brand new Subaru Forester yesterday.
Right.
And I had found out through the grapevine that the RAV4 had met a fate in an accident, and this woman needed a new car. The only car company that she can get a stick small SUV from was Subaru.
No one else offers a stick.
That's
anymore.
it, because she was pretty much a Toyota person. You know what I mean? And nope, none of the other car companies had a small, in that class. Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, so on. So nobody had a stick. Not but Subaru still did. Yeah.
So that you cannot find a chick truck with a stick.
Right.
Holy.
No more chicks with sticks. Oh crap.
Check.
Where's that big red button?
Yeah, I'll have to build one.
But no, actually, but it's nobody wants them anymore.
I'm amazed because I'm still looking for a manual shift vehicle to replace my Pathfinder, and the Pathfinder was almost a million to one shot.
It was almost an impossibility. Yeah, I know, really. The other thing you got to remember too is its serviceability. I mean, doing a clutch on anything these days is an absolute horror show.
That bad?
Well,
could it be any worse than rebuilding an automatic transmission?
Well, remember, when you're dealing with an automatic transmission, you pull the unit down, you hand it to a builder who's an experienced guy, whatever. Most clutch jobs are done in a regular shop. And then when I say nightmare, it's not like it used to be. You drop the drive shaft, you take out 4 bolts, you yank the bell housing. Mm-hmm. All right, if you had if you had the right tools and a good pair of hands, you can knock it off in 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now you're pulling the transaxle, you're disconnecting this, you're unplugging that, then you got to find the right fluid, which is probably made by some group of monks in the Alps somewhere. It's a zoo, so it's not that much, and people don't want to mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think these days, remember that a lot of people are so used to stuff being done automatically for them.
True.
You know what I mean? So why would you actually have to select your own gear?
Oh, gosh, because there's nothing like it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But anyway,
I agree.
We've burned up another hour right here,
In
Joe.
flames.
Yes. Joe D. in for Ray Guarino behind the shop bench today. Joe, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
Doing the yeoman's work as usual.
Yeah, I'll never make it admiral at this rate.
I'm Chris Switzer. This is Motormouth Radio, and of course, the advice we always give. Don't follow us home. See ya.
Bye.
I was in my car one time, and a Bruce Springsteen song comes on, and it made me really sad. Like Jungle, what's the one Jungle song?
Jungleland.
This one where he goes, "Hey!" and he sounds far away. You know, it's like
that's half of them.
Yeah, that's a lot of them.
No, he goes,
yeah, exactly. Thunder Road Radio.
Thursday, we started Thursday, no 6. I remember, who was Zesky's partner in crime? What the hell was his name? Stocky character. Yeah.
Oh, Mikey Walt?
No. I think his name was Mike. You know the P? Or ponytail?
Steve
Pellegrino.
Wasn't really his partner in crime, though.
No,
not really. They weren't really.
But I always saw them.
They might have been here together. But yeah, I don't know how much. Jay, like Ron, who's like flaming. Steve was not like that. Like he didn't like make the whole world know his dick.
No,
people have to walk in and be like, I'm gay. Yeah. Let everybody know right off the bat. No, Steve Gasser, really?
Totally. When Steve come in here and talk to Ray Knight?
You off the air though.
Off the air.
Right, but wait, how did you find out that he was gay?
He told us.
Really? That's funny because he was not really like that.
Steve Gasser?
Now he is, but in the beginning, like when he first came out, I remember when he first came out to me, he told me that he came out to his parents. That's how he came out to me. I'm like, oh, okay. No, I mean, nothing shocks me at all.
He was big and running and all that good stuff.
He definitely doesn't seem like, you wouldn't think he was gay, but nothing surprised me, and I don't think either.
I don't know whether it's the fact that we don't care.
I don't know, that's so funny. Maybe he's just more comfortable now.
I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, this is a while
I don't bat an eye. I don't
It's
care.
funny because we talk about it. Like they'll do crosstalk with Chris Muldoon sometimes after the talk before sports talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny. Although Chris has got his issues, but they're very funny together. And they always have the overtone of sexuality, but we're making jokes that, it's private jokes, but they're so funny, like balls, or whatever, like shit like that. Like,
Right.
Oh,
High school humor.
He's got the ball, whatever, but
He's got 2 balls on him.
Yeah, whatever, something like that. But people don't necessarily know what they're saying.
Right.
He definitely has not come out on the air, and with people, I guess he is more open now with media. But
He is.
I know in the beginning, he was, I've told you, I knew him for a couple of years before he came out.
Really?
I guess, yeah, and
well,
that's
I
what
guess
he's
you could
I
say-
came out to my parents. I'm like, oh, and you're coming out to me too.
No, I knew him a couple of years before, but I
Right.
think it was like, it coincided, his coming out coincided with him chatting it up with us.
He just got more comfortable with you guys.
Yeah,
and
and
just figured, whatever. He knows.
But
He don't give a fuck.
He probably not have to say on here.
That's weird because Steve, again, I didn't really feel like he was openly, really, really openly gay.
Mm-hmm.
I never really. It's funny. Oh my God. I wonder why he did that.
There's no clue.
That's strange.
But he did.
All I have to say. Very
Yes.
strange.
We're still running the camera here.